So you think aging is just about genetics? Science says otherwise. Your gut might be controlling more than you think. Let us unpack the science to give you the keys.
I think you'll be surprised by some of the findings and connections we uncover.
I think so too.
So we're going to be unpacking how these trillions of tiny organisms in our gut can impact everything from how well we digest food to our risk for age-related diseases. We've got some cutting-edge research to dig into today.
We'll uncover how the gut microbiome actually changes as we get older. And then we're going to explore the connection between those changes and chronic inflammation.
Yeah.
And then we're even going to delve into the link between gut health and brain health.
But let's start with a basic question, though. What is the gut microbiome?
I'd say imagine a bustling city, a metropolis of microorganisms living within your digestive tract. Trillions of bacteria, viruses, fungi. It's a whole diverse community. And that diversity is so crucial. It's like a rainforest. The more diverse it is, the more resilient it is to change. Unfortunately, one of the things that happens as we age is we start to lose some of that microbial diversity in our gut. It makes us more vulnerable.
What else shifts as we get older?
Well, it's not just the number of different species.
Okay.
It's also the balance of power, so to speak. Certain beneficial bacteria, like bifidobacterium, tend to decline with age, while other bacterial groups that might promote inflammation can increase.
So the gut microbiome becomes less of a peaceful community and more of what? A rowdy bunch of troublemakers.
Well, not necessarily troublemakers, but the shift in the balance can definitely have consequences.
Okay.
For example, it can affect the production of short-chain fatty acids, or SCFAs, which play a crucial role in regulating our metabolism and immune system.
Remind me why they matter so much.
Think of them as the gut's communications specialists. They help maintain a healthy gut lining. They regulate our immune response and even impact how our bodies use energy. But when their production is disrupted, things can start to go haywire.
And that disruption is linked to the gut microbiome changes we were just talking about.
And this is where the concept of inflammaging comes in.
Basically just saying that we get more inflamed as we age.
It's more than that. It refers to a chronic low-grade inflammation that builds up over time and contributes to age-related diseases.
Okay.
What's fascinating is that the gut microbiome plays a key role in this process. So how do those gut microbes actually contribute to inflammaging?
Remember how we talked about microbial diversity declining with age?
Yeah.
Well, that can weaken the intestinal barrier, making it leaky. It means the barrier that normally keeps things contained within the gut becomes more permeable, allowing bacterial products to sneak into the bloodstream and trigger inflammation throughout the body.
So it's like a slow drip of inflammation, constantly irritating the system.
A perfect analogy. And over time, this chronic inflammation can damage tissues and organs, accelerating the aging process and increasing the risk of various diseases.
The gut microbiome sounds like a major player in how we age.
It is.
Impacting everything from our digestion to our immune system.
And the research we're looking at today even links it to some serious age-related diseases.
Yes, and we'll explore those connections in more detail.
Sure.
What's striking is that many of these conditions, like obesity, cardiovascular disease, even type 2 diabetes, are increasingly being linked to imbalances in the gut microbiome.
It really makes you think about the power of these tiny organisms.
Yes.
Before we get into the specific diseases, though, can we zoom back in on what's happening in the gut itself? How does the microbiome affect things like the intestinal barrier and nutrient absorption?
Sure, let's start with that intestinal barrier we were just talking about. A healthy, diverse microbiome is crucial for keeping that barrier strong and leak-proof.
Okay.
It's like a team of skilled construction workers constantly repairing and reinforcing the wall.
But if that microbial team is weakened, like we were talking about with aging, the wall starts to crumble.
Precisely, and that's when we get those leaks, leading to inflammation and potentially a cascade of health problems. It also affects nutrient absorption because those friendly microbes play a key role in breaking down complex carbohydrates and fibers, helping us extract vital nutrients from food.
So if our gut microbiome is out of whack, we might not be getting all the nutrients we need, even if we're eating a healthy diet.
That's a real concern, and it's one of the reasons why supporting gut health becomes even more crucial as we age. It's not just about preventing disease, but also about ensuring we're properly nourished and able to function at our best.
Makes sense. And what about the immune system? I know the gut microbiome is somehow involved there too.
It's a profound connection. The gut microbiome is essentially the training ground for our immune system. It helps educate our immune cells, teaching them to distinguish between friendly bacteria and harmful pathogens.
So it's like a boot camp for our immune system, getting it ready to fight off invaders.
Exactly.
Yeah.
A balanced gut microbiome promotes a healthy immune response, making us less susceptible to infections and other immune-related issues. But when it's out of balance...
Our defenses are weakened.
Precisely. And this can leave us vulnerable to a whole host of problems, from frequent colds to more serious autoimmune disorders.
Okay, so we've covered how the gut microbiome impacts the gut itself, nutrient absorption, and even our immune system. But I'm really curious to hear more about those gut disease connections you mentioned earlier.
Yes, let's dive into that. We'll start with obesity and how gut microbes might actually be manipulating us to eat more than we need.
Well, hold on. Microbes manipulating our cravings. That's where it gets really interesting. I can't wait to hear more about that. Okay, so you were about to tell us how our gut bacteria might be manipulating our cravings.
It might sound far-fetched, but the research suggests that our gut microbes have evolved clever ways to get what they need, even if it means influencing our food preferences.
So you're saying those cravings for sugary treats might not be all my fault?
Well, let's not shift the blame entirely, but certain gut bacteria thrive on sugar, and some studies suggest they can actually send signals to the brain, influencing our cravings and making us more likely to reach for those donuts. But it's important to remember it's not always a malicious manipulation. These bacteria are simply trying to survive and thrive.
Right?
And they've evolved ways to communicate with their hosts, that's us,
Okay.
to ensure their own survival.
I guess it makes sense from an evolutionary perspective.
Right.
But how much power do they really have over our eating habits?
The research is still ongoing, but it's becoming increasingly clear that the gut microbiome plays a significant role in regulating our appetite, our metabolism, and even how we store fat.
So an imbalanced gut microbiome could make us more prone to weight gain, even if we're not overeating.
Exactly. Certain bacteria are more efficient at extracting energy from food, meaning we absorb more calories from the same amount of food compared to someone with a different microbial makeup.
So it's not just about calories in, calories out.
Right.
It's also about who's living in our gut.
Yes.
And how they're processing those calories.
Precisely. And this has significant implications for how we approach weight management.
Okay.
It's not just about willpower and portion control, but also about cultivating a healthy gut microbiome that supports a healthy...
So what about those other diseases you mentioned, like cardiovascular disease? I'm guessing there's a gut microbiome connection there too.
Well, research suggests that high levels of TMAO in the blood are linked to an increased risk of atherosclerosis, which is the buildup of plaque in the arteries.
Right. I remember you mentioning that, and TMAO is produced by gut bacteria. So what we eat impacts not just our cholesterol, but also how our gut bacteria contribute to that plaque buildup.
That's the idea. It highlights the importance of considering not just the nutritional content of food, but also how our gut microbiome might be processing those foods and producing compounds that can impact our health.
So even if we're eating a heart-healthy diet,
yes,
we still need to pay attention to our gut microbiome.
Exactly. And this is particularly relevant for people who eat a lot of red meat.
Okay.
Which is rich in the precursor to TMAO.
Interesting. What about type 2 diabetes? You mentioned the link there as well.
Gut microbiome imbalances can impact insulin sensitivity, which is how effectively our bodies respond to insulin and regulate blood sugar levels.
So an imbalanced gut microbiome could contribute to insulin resistance and increase the risk of developing type 2 diabetes.
That's what the research suggests. Certain bacteria can interfere with insulin signaling, making it harder for our cells to take up glucose from the bloodstream.
Okay.
This can lead to elevated blood sugar levels and over time increase the risk of developing type 2 diabetes.
So once again, it's not just about what we eat, but how our gut microbiome is involved in processing those foods and regulating our metabolism.
Precisely. And this brings us to one of the most fascinating and rapidly evolving areas of microbiome research, the gut-brain axis.
We've touched on this briefly, but I'm eager to hear more about it. And how does it relate to aging?
Imagine a complex communication network linking your gut and your brain. A constant exchange of information involving nerves, hormones, the immune system, and of course, the gut microbiome.
So it's not a literal axis,
No.
but rather a communication highway with lots of traffic going back and forth.
Exactly. And those gut microbes we've been talking about, they're not just passive passengers, they're sending signals to the brain, influencing everything from our mood and stress levels to our cognitive function and even our sleep.
So my gut bacteria are sending messages to my brain.
And it has profound implications for how we understand the connection between gut health and overall well-being, especially as we age.
This is incredible. Okay, I have so many questions. Let's start with how these bacteria are communicating with our brain.
Okay.
What are they actually sending?
They produce a variety of compounds that can interact with the nervous system,
Okay.
including neurotransmitters like serotonin, dopamine, and GABA,
Okay.
which play a role in regulating our mood, our motivation, and even our ability to focus.
So my gut bacteria might be responsible for those afternoon slumps or those days when I feel extra motivated.
It might sound strange, but the research is increasingly pointing to the gut microbiome as a key player in regulating these brain chemicals and influencing our mood and behavior.
So what does this mean for aging?
Okay.
How does the gut-brain axis change as we get older?
Well, remember how we talked about the gut microbiome becoming less diverse and less balanced as we age?
Yeah.
Well, that can disrupt the communication along the gut-brain axis, potentially contributing to age-related cognitive decline, mood disorders, and even sleep problems.
So a healthy gut equals a healthy brain, especially as we age.
It is, and it underscores the importance of taking care of our gut microbiome throughout our lifespan, not just for our physical health, but also for our mental and cognitive well-being.
This is seriously fascinating stuff.
It is.
I feel like we could talk about this all day, but I know we have a lot more ground to cover.
Let's move on to those practical strategies. We'll discuss how to nurture those beneficial gut microbes and optimize that gut-brain communication for healthy aging. Well, the good news is that we have more control than we might think,
Okay.
and it starts with what we eat.
Okay, let's talk diet.
Okay.
We've already touched on the importance of fiber, but are there any specific types of fiber that are particularly beneficial for the gut microbiome?
Think variety.
Okay.
Aim for a diverse mix of fruits, vegetables, whole grains, legumes, nuts, and seeds. And each type of fiber nourishes a different set of gut bacteria. So the more diverse your fiber intake, the more diverse your gut microbiome will be.
So eating the rainbow
Yes.
is not just a catchy slogan. It's actually a good strategy for gut health.
It is.
And don't forget those fermented foods we talked about. Yogurt, kefir, sauerkraut, kimchi.
Right.
They're all packed with probiotics, which are live beneficial bacteria that can help replenish and diversify our gut microbial communities.
Exactly.
I'm a big fan of fermented foods. It's great to know they're doing my gut a favor.
Absolutely.
What about those probiotic supplements?
Yeah.
Are they worth considering?
They can be, but it's not as simple as just grabbing any bottle off the shelf.
Right.
The gut microbiome is incredibly complex.
Okay.
And different strains of probiotics have different effects.
So talk to your doctor
Yes,
before starting a probiotic regimen.
exactly. They can help you determine if probiotics are right for you. And if so, which strains might be most beneficial based on your individual needs.
Makes sense now beyond diet. Regular physical activity has been shown to increase microbial diversity, promote the growth of beneficial bacteria, and even enhance the production of those all-important SCFAs.
So hitting the gym isn't just good for our waistlines.
Right.
It's good for our gut bacteria too.
Absolutely. It's like a workout for your microbiome.
Oh, yeah.
And it doesn't have to be strenuous exercise. Even moderate activity like brisk walking or gardening can make a difference.
That's encouraging. What about stress?
Chronic stress can wreak havoc on the gut microbiome,
Okay.
disrupting its balance and increasing inflammation, which, as we've discussed, can have ripple effects throughout the body, including the brain.
So finding healthy ways to manage stress is important,
Right.
not just for our mental health, but for our gut health too.
Exactly. Whether it's meditation, yoga, spending time in nature, or listening to music.
Finding what helps you unwind and de-stress is crucial for maintaining a healthy gut microbiome.
And what about sleep?
Sleep is essential for the gut microbiome to function optimally.
Okay.
It's like giving those microbes time to rest and recharge, allowing them to carry out their essential tasks more effectively.
So even our gut bacteria need their beauty sleep. We've got diet, exercise, stress management, and sleep.
Right.
Any other final tips for supporting a healthy gut microbiome as we age?
Be mindful of medications, especially antibiotics.
Sure.
While they're essential in some cases,
Yeah.
they can also disrupt the balance of the gut microbiome.
Mm.
Talk to your doctor about the potential impact of any medications you're taking and
Right.
whether there are steps you can take to mitigate those effects.
It's so easy to forget that medications can have unintended consequences for our gut health.
It's true. And as research continues to uncover the complexities of the gut microbiome, we're learning more and more about how interconnected it is with every aspect of our health, from our physical well-being to our mental and emotional state.
It's amazing to think that these trillions of tiny organisms living within us have such a profound impact on how we age.
It really is remarkable. And the good news is that we have the power to shape that microbiome, to nurture those beneficial bacteria and cultivate a thriving gut ecosystem that supports our health and longevity.
And so listeners, now that you know the power of your gut microbiome, what one small change can you make today to support its health and potentially enhance your own aging journey?
That's a great question.
Maybe it's adding more fermented foods to your diet, or starting a meditation practice, or simply getting a good night's sleep.
Yeah, all great ideas.
Whatever it is, remember that even small changes can have a big impact on your gut health and your overall well-being. Keep learning, keep exploring,